Hello and welcome into the Sorare Data Show. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare, joined today by psufans2 to talk about some rivals again. Vita, just after this bitter game, Sean and I were just lamenting this France result. What a mess of an early rival slate, Sean.
True. What is up with that intro song on this, Laird?
Welcome to Tuesday.
God, screwing things up for me over here.
No, it's a Tuesday show. So welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that was not necessarily the result I was hoping for. I was looking forward to the clean sheet remaining intact, but hey, that's how it goes. I think that for the Euros tournament thingy, that is not going to be the game that registers for the day. The Netherlands game definitely isn't the game that's going to register for the day, but that game I don't think will register. I think one of the two late games will likely have better scores than that. It's possible. I would say it's like 15% that score counts.
Okay.
Would be my guess.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming in. Bob Franklin, Maddie Sorare, who we will definitely discuss, and Ricardo on the podium. Congratulations, you guys. Arthur said, finish first in Division 2, not opening my box until it decides to give me Mbappe. I wonder how you decide when it decides. But anyway, Sora Juju, what's up? We saw Vita here. Hoodwink, let's go Slovenia. Wow. Just throwing that out there. How about that? Mike Baston, what's up? Sora Turkey's all in on the Xavi Simons. The Simons or Simmons? I feel like people say both.
Whatever.
Fair enough.
I think that's right. Like, whatever.
Okay. Yeah, it's just his name. Anyway, so and Tuggy coming in. So before we actually get into the strategies that you and I are seeing that we feel like, I mean, I guess we're happy to have other people do them, but we're going to explain why maybe they're not optimal. This current format where they have like the Meet Zidane format where you have different groups and whatnot, do you think this is one that they could do regularly?
They need to fix it. So okay. we haven't been around. We haven't been on because I was obviously on vacation, and I have a very, very, very strong take about this. So
this is, sorry to cut you off there, but this is a strong take from somebody who has like multiple shots at winning. Like you have legitimate shots to finish first in this competition.
Yeah. Like, I mean, as of right now, I think the one group I'm in is in second in the world, and I'm the #1 manager in that group currently. But that group's actually really strong because there's a lot of people in it. So anyways, they had a 10 out of 10 gameplay that was awesome, staring them in the face. And they basically are like, all right, what is the biggest pile of shit we can do? And then they opted for that. From there, it's not as bad as the Global Cup. It is better than that. But they basically incentivize people to give up and stop playing. Because so here's an example. I'll give the example from the group.
Why don't you explain the 10 out of 10?
So the 10 out of 10 gameplay would have been very similar to what is happening, except for some small tweaks.
Right. They're not miles off.
How it is. No, it's very close.
Yeah.
It was like very close. It was so obvious they should have done it this way, and then they just didn't. So I think the leagues is awesome. It gets a lot of like camaraderie going, gets a lot of chat going, gets a lot of discussion going, gets a lot of engagement going. I think that's a great way to do it. So the way that they have it currently, you're incentivized to score well for yourself for the day. You're incentivized to score well for the group for the day, all of which can lead into a good amount of boxes over the course of the month. And that's great. But so the issue is, and I'll give the example from can you pull up the league that I'm in? You can do it. Can you pull this up and I'll give the example? So the way that they are doing it, they are only giving scores to the top 5 managers in a league. If you have like one bad day, or you like, let's say you like miss a day, all right, just go fuck yourself and just leave, because all you are at that point is you're a leech to your league, because you effectively cannot help your league mates at all, because your score is not going to be good enough if you miss a day, or if you like have a bad day. And I'll give the example with this league that we're in. And it was because we were under the impression stuff was different than how it is.
I have no idea how to find.
Yeah, that's because you suck. Go to the rivals, go to like the leagues and click on global leaderboard. All right. Click on the top. No, go back.
What? Yeah,
Click on the top.
you're right.
Click on the
Don't
top
click
banner.
on the rivals link. Right.
It doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, click on the top banner. Okay, now click on global ranking. Click on global ranking above Pranksy and Friends. Click on global ranking. Yeah, there you go.
Sorry,
Okay.
white on.
Click on meetings the dawn soon.
Yeah, there you go. This is Maddie Sorare's.
Scroll to the bottom.
Scroll. Hold on. Look at you right at the top there.
Yeah, just scroll to the bottom of this league. So, at the beginning of the tournament, we were under the impression that like we were under the impression it was top 5 scores per day, which is how it should have been. And if it was top 5 scores per day, everybody is incentivized the entire tournament to continue to set your lineups and do as best as possible. Because if let's say you suck ass every single day and you're terrible, but then you have that one game where you put up the best score, you help your group. You are a plus to your group and you bring positives to the group. The way it currently is, you go to the bottom here. So literally the first day of the tournament, Finster stacked Scotland against Germany. So he lost like 300 points. So done. He's irrelevant to the rest of the tournament. He does not matter to the group realistically at all. Like for him to end up in the top 4, there's no possible, or for him to get the top 5, there's
an
like
absurd outlier for literally the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, literally. So he's literally irrelevant to the group the rest of the tournament. He's irrelevant. And it's not his fault because he thought the rules were different, because the way they presented him was confusing. I was confused at the beginning. So the way that it is, so now he is in the group, right? Finster is in this group still. He can't help the group. He's irrelevant. He doesn't help the group. But what he can do is he can win the daily score and just fuck the group by winning the box for the day of the group, because then he gets it and no one else gets it, so he basically becomes just like a leech on the group, right? He's riding the group to the top, and then he also can take the daily boxes that other people that are awarded good scores could have got otherwise. So it's like a negative. So the way that they should have done the competition, very confident in it, is should have done 20-man leagues. Again, think it was great. Think it was an awesome idea. Top 5 scores per day. I would prefer per game. I think it should have been per game, but I'm okay with per day. That part of it I think is up for debate. And the reason for that is because like if you do per game and someone misses one, then they're kind of just fucked overall, like on the overall situation. But if you do per day, then if you miss one game in the morning but you catch the other 2, okay, it's not that big of a deal. It's fine. So I think you should have been top 5 scores per day or per game within the league. So like, let's say you're dead last. Let's say Finster's in dead last. He sucks. But Finster next game stacks Denmark and he has the best score of the day. Boom. Finster provides value to the tournament or to the group. He's incentivized to always check it. Like Finster, I know is at the game, so he's not watching.
I was going to say, yeah, Maddie said that.
I know Finster's at the game. Yeah. He was telling us the subs at the game. And again, this isn't his fault at all, because we thought the stuff was different. And by the time we learned that it wasn't on day 2, he was already fucked, because he was so bad on day 1 that he was like 250 points behind everyone and just like, you're dead. So I think the way they should have done it is 20-man groups, top score per day gets a box, which is what they do. Top 5 per day or top 5 per game gets registered for your league scores. The league score is what is the best prize, which is again what it currently is. And then you have an overall global leaderboard that is top score. It's literally an individual leaderboard that goes throughout the tournament, but which they didn't really do an individual leaderboard, which I kind of think is weird, but whatever. So I just think the ball was really dropped on what it could have been. So like I said, it could have been a 10 out of 10 with an engagement. Like day 1 of the tournament, we were talking, we're like, hey, if there's games that we think it's off, if it's different, like we should make sure we have people on different side of things. We were talking about strategy, and then we found out the rules that the way it is. We're like, no, it doesn't matter. Don't talk. It just doesn't matter. And then, like I said, like again, if I'm Finster, I quit. Literally after day 1, I quit. I'm just done. And I'm just like, oh, I missed it. I'm so far behind. It doesn't matter. I give up. Go. And that's not good. If your incentive is to give up, that's not good.
But isn't the highest score of the day the incentive to keep playing?
Yeah, but then
I didn't understand your point of like how he was like leeching off by continuing to perform well. Like if he gets the best score of the day, why shouldn't he get something?
He should, but like the fact is like now he gets the best score of the day, and well, that sucks for all the people that are actually still dragging him along in the actual like leaderboard when he just is him setting the lineup. So for example, like right, we're in this league, him setting his lineup at all is bad for me. It's a negative. Obviously, it doesn't matter much because the boxes aren't worth much, but like him setting his lineup every day is a negative for everybody in this group.
I still don't see why.
Explain why it's not.
I just don't see how it affects anything.
Because he could win the box at the end of the day.
So it's just the daily box that you think he's stealing.
It doesn't matter what he scores. He's not going to be in the top 5 of our league.
Yeah, so I think that's a separate issue.
No, they're tied together. Him being in this league does not provide any value to the league. Agreed?
I mean, I think you could argue that the last 6 aren't realistically not.
No, in this league, it's literally just him. Everyone's scores are pretty good. Other leagues, it would be that way. But like, if you go to, well, you didn't join the league that the Hooligans League. The Hooligans League has like 6 people or 7 people that are irrelevant. This league has like 1. Like 3,670 points could definitely still end up in a top 5.
It's like 250 points back.
Which could be made up. 500 is not being made up.
200.
250 could. Oh, but okay. Either way, like let's say that you want to be within like 150 points or something. So it's like bottom 2 or 3.
Like this is kind of what it doesn't feel like you guys are competing. Like what is it about the box that is helping you in the rest of the tournament?
What about anything he does helps us in the rest of the tournament? He's irrelevant.
But the box is irrelevant.
The box isn't irrelevant because that's what the box is given away to the top scorer every day. So he can still win that. He cannot help us win anything else. I think you're just missing the point because you just are like, the box is so worthless that who gives a shit, which is true. But like what I'm saying is him setting his lineup is bad for every member of the group because he is above 0% to win the box every day, but he is 0% to help the group score better.
But the box has 0% effect on what you do the rest of the tournament.
I'm not trying to make a case that the box. What is the like for me? Let's say I'm in this group and I'm first place. Why do I care if Matt or if Finster sets his lineup? If I ask you this question, Laird. Again, this is nothing on Finster. He got fucked because the rules were not clear and we didn't know the rules. And by the time we found them out on day 2, he was already dead. This is nothing against him. I'm not saying anything negative against him at all. But I'm saying, so I'm in this group. Why do I want Finster to set his lineup? If I ask you, Laird, if you're in this group, let's pretend you're in this group. And I say, do you want Finster to set a lineup or do you not want Finster to set a lineup? What do you say? And you're going to say, I don't care either way.
I mean, I think I would care because I want a better chance of winning the box, but that has nothing to do with where we fit in the global leaderboard.
Correct. But he has no impact on the global leaderboard. So I would rather him not, if I'm in this group, I would rather him not set a lineup because I don't want him winning the box and he cannot help me in the global leaderboard.
Right. So I think that's different, though. The fact that he can't help in the leaderboard has nothing to do with the box.
But they're tied together because of how the rewards are structured.
No, the reward is finish in the top and you win Zidane. It has nothing to do with how many boxes you win. Yeah, I appreciate that. Like you don't want him to win the box.
Anyways,
but that you can't say he's not like helping the group or not doesn't matter. It's a totally separate issue.
Anyways, I just think again, like I'm pretty confident in this. Everyone can say that this doesn't matter, and it doesn't. I agree that it doesn't overall matter, but it's wrong the way that it is. Like it just doesn't make sense.
I think the way that it's set up is obviously just rewarding those who are the most active instead of those who may not be as active.
So Braden brings up the point. You don't care if he sets it, he does. He wants to try for a box and should to get the box. But I want him to not set his lineup. If you asked me if you asked me, I would say no, I don't want him to set his lineup ever, because then he might win a daily box that someone else could win.
Not someone else. You.
No, someone else in the group. I would rather say someone else in the group who is potentially going to contribute to winning the overall group scores get a box than someone who is not. Someone who is not going to help achieve the goal of winning the group scores at the end is irrelevant to me. I would rather them not set the box. Actually, that would be funny. Vitaly said, actually, what would be funny is like you, after each game week, the member in last place was just kicked from the group.
Yeah.
He should set his lineup. Let me make this clear. Like, he should set his lineup, but he also, like, everybody else in this group should not want him to set his lineup.
Because of the box. I guess that's the point I wanted to make, is that him setting his lineup had absolutely nothing to do with the global leaderboard. It's all about that daily box.
Correct. Which is one of the two things you're going for on a day. But like, effectively, like, he's getting carried by everyone else to whatever he does at the end of the month and gets finished for wherever you finish on the global leaderboard. So like, all those people you're taking away effectively, like, let's say every day everybody has 5% equity in the box, right? So every day him setting a lineup basically takes away 5% equity in that, while contributing nothing to the overall of the group.
Do you think sacrificing one of your group members for that Griezmann sub today was worth it?
What do you mean?
Well,
I don't think anyone sacrificed themselves for a Griezmann sub because Rabiot's score was so shit, it didn't really matter that much.
No, but I'm saying, like, Finster was at the game. Obviously, he's contributing to the group by
he's contributing in other ways. And again, like I said, the reason he is basically eliminated was because we thought the rules were different than what they were, and we thought they were the way that we're sort of describing it to some extent, and they weren't. And because of that, he was eliminated basically. So no, I have no problem with Finster setting his lineups, and I want Finster to set his lineups. Like, individually, I want Finster to set his lineup. I'm saying from like an overall perspective of this.
It was kind of weird because it felt like the rules, like it's not like they changed the rule. We all just kind of like read the rule and we were like, oh yeah, we know what that means. And then it was like something else. And we all went back and it was like, oh, I guess what they said is what is, but we just kind of couldn't believe that's what the case was.
Yes. Tom also said, can we move on from this nonsense? Yes, 100%. This wasn't the goal to spend time on that. I blame Laird.
Although, well, no, this full Scotland lineup probably is not the example here. But the reason we were talking about this was part of this competition, and we don't know if Sorare will continue with these types of competitions, these kind of like longer form rivals competitions to win really cool stuff. But this group of 20, and every group of 20 obviously has like a number of strategies that they can discuss in order to get the highest scores. And when we thought it was like the 5 highest scores of the day instead of the entire competition, people started to think that they were trying to be contrarian. And you and I were discussing that, like, a lot of people's contrarian plans are actually just very bad ideas.
Yeah.
And they're not contrarian in the right way. And they're usually set up to fail before they even know it. Is there one in particular that we should discuss? Because it feels like we have seen one, shout out to Harry Redknapp, that I feel like...
I can use Maddie as an example.
Well, Maddie started the whole chat off that said might be called a dumbass today. So I guess we're at that point now, 20 minutes in.
I said, so the group that I'm in, I've really never talked to anyone other than Monkey. Monkey's the only person I would have felt comfortable calling an absolute moron in there. Because, you know, Laird, like, I don't call people I don't really know morons. Like,
agreed.
I only call people that I know.
It's the great benefit of knowing you.
And I've seen some of the shit in all these leagues, and it's like, holy fuck. And yes, Maddie's lineup actually would have been better with his dumb thing, but I'm confident you will also agree that it was dumb and made no sense. So I'm going to circle back to the first part of your discussion, and the strategy with things. And I think what people don't understand is the only score that matters on a day is the best score. If a lineup does not score the best score on the day, it's irrelevant. It really doesn't matter. So like on a day where there's 1 or 2 games, you doing like a split lineup or you doing different type of things is okay. When there are like 4 games and basically it's like, okay, if your guys don't pop off, that game's just not really going to matter that much. It's pretty irrelevant for the most part. So I'll give the example from the French game that Maddie had. So Maddie, for me, the France lineup was like one lineup effectively that was relevant, I thought. And I didn't think there was tons of other relevant lineups from that. And that lineup was basically Mignon, Saliba, Rabiot, Dembele, and Mbappe. So what I said is people like to use the term, I'm going to take a risk or I'm going to be contrarian, when in reality, they're really saying is like, I'm just going to do some dumb shit that eliminates me, right? Or eliminates that game.
Let me try to make those people feel slightly better. I think that they underestimate the risk and the reward.
Yeah.
That there is a line between risky and dumb.
Yeah.
And people think it's much closer to the risk when usually it's dumb.
Yeah. Well, and I said, so here's the example from today. So I thought that was pretty clearly like the best line. Contrarian lineup to that would make sense was you could have went and faded Mbappe, for example, and played like Theo Hernandez and Upamecano. And I'm like, that makes sense because then, okay, let's say Mbappe doesn't score, then you all of a sudden have Theo Hernandez and Upamecano, which like if you look before Mbappe scored, Upamecano was on like 80 and Theo Hernandez
he was having a
on
huge
like 55 game. And Mbappe was on like 45 and Rabiot was on 35. So if you did that 2v2, you all of a sudden like maybe you make up 60 points in that situation. So what Maddie brought up as an idea that and this, again, I'm going to say this, and I told Maddie this earlier, this wasn't the dumbest idea I've seen people talk about this week. And I've seen dumber things put into play. And that is that he was like, I think you should play Urbanski from Poland to play Theo Hernandez over Rabiot. But so here's the reason why, to me, that is a bad decision. If you're playing Urbanski, hypothetically Urbanski blows, right? And like Urbanski's not going to score well. So I think I said before the game, I'm like, Urbanski, let's say he doesn't score. He puts up 35 to 40 points. That's not going to be good for you score-wise anyways. And you're basically in that situation. Like, let's say he puts up 35 to 40. Like, you probably would guess Rabiot would put up 60 to 70 in this game. So all of a sudden, you're basically saying, like, Theo Hernandez is, like, 30 points better than Saliba on average. That's not very realistic. Like, yeah, obviously, Theo Hernandez could rip 100. Saliba could put up 45. Like, it's possible. So, but I'm like, it's not really realistic that you're doing that. And then let's say you do that and Urbanski puts up like his stinker and puts up like 30 and Theo loses to Saliba and Rabiot scores an 80 that he's put up in this tournament. All of a sudden you just lose 100 points on that game and then all the other games stink on the day and you just get smashed. And Maddie's call was Urbanski might get better AA than Rabiot and help with the tactics. The tactics, I don't think it mattered that much. He like turned the tactics from like a 99% or like a 97% chance of hitting to like a 98% chance on hitting. And I do agree that if tactics are in play, it does matter more because then maybe you get 5-10 points worth of equity in tactics and it does matter. But I'm like, basically Urbanski added nothing in the tactics because like I hit the tactics, for example, without Urbanski by halftime. Like it wasn't hard. I think I Had Hogo Bonita, I hit like 12 and I had 6.
Oh, Dembele and Mbappe.
Yeah, like I'm just not that worried about hitting it with Mbappe and Dembele versus pulling slow ass shit. Like just not that worried about it. So I said, I'm like, so that's option one, where like Urbanski doesn't score. That's the situation you're in. If Urbanski scores, okay, he's at like 65. The issue in that situation is then, okay, Mignon's probably dust because you saw it. They scored one, he's dust. The other, like Teo Hernandez, is probably not great because all of a sudden he doesn't have a clean sheet, loses 4 for a goal. Like he starts at 31 instead of 45, basically. So I said, like, if Urbanski scores, that game's probably not going to be relevant for the day anyways. So you have a situation where, and this is what I've seen a lot of people do, and I think that the results in the games, the way that they've played out, has caused it not to matter up to this point as much. And another example is like yesterday, I don't remember exactly who, but like people were playing like Kramaric versus Donnarumma and doing like a 3-2 stack. And it's just like the odds that like that game will score properly if Kramaric scores or if Donnarumma doesn't concede is just difficult. Like it's just not very likely to happen.
It reminds me of the one that fit in. Because I played somebody. It was they had Mamardashvili and then 4 Czech outfielders.
Yeah,
and captained Mamardashvili, and he ended up smashing even with conceding a goal. But it was like basically what you need to happen in that instance, and I think they did all out attack, is basically that 10 shots on target, all saved, and it's just a bunch. Like you win the game. But it's probably not a high enough score for you to actually compete in this competition. I think the competition's really changing things because you're not just thinking about beating one person.
Correct. I had a talk with Bellama, and the example I used is the Romania game. So the Romania played Ukraine first group day. This game is why I'm in first in my group. Like this game is why I'm probably ahead of most people. So that day, I forget what the other games were, but like that day, the likelihood that game was going to be relevant was very minimal. Like it was not likely this game was going to be the relevant game of the day. However, the styles that are played, Romania, if they do well, typically had guys that scored very well. When they played neutral opponents, they typically scored pretty well. They had guys that were very clear standout plays like Stanchu. And the defenders were all very, very standout type plays. Flip side, Ukraine, the style that Ukraine plays is like if they do well and they win, they probably are going to suck anyways. And they're not going to score well regardless. It's similar to like Austria, sort of. Like they're going to play a high press. They're going to not hold the ball much. They're going to turn the ball over a lot. They're going to concede a lot of possession. The way Sorare works, right, is like typically the teams that do well are the teams that hold the ball and have a lot of passes. That's typically how Sorare works for the most part. Yeah, so Maddie said was top score of the day with Romania. Yeah, that day it ended up being Romania. But so what I said is like, so if I look at this game, 75% of the time, the Ukraine guys, like a Ukraine stack will win, right? The Ukraine stack will be better than a Romania stack that day. The issue is that like on the day, there's like a 95% chance this game is irrelevant. And of the 5% chance where this game is relevant, 3.5 of the 5% worth of relevancy would be Romania stacks, not Ukraine stacks, because of the styles that they play and the way that it works. But then also like similar, like that day, and I don't remember exactly who and what it was. That was like 10 days ago. But like people in this game are like running like all of a sudden, I'll give the example. Like they played like Dobovic or whatever the hell it is. And then they play the goalie for Romania. The issue is in that scenario, there's like just like no shot that game ends up being a relevant game for you that day. So that game, by you setting the lineup like that, you basically take that 5% chance that game is the game of merit on that day, and you turn it to 0 because it just realistically can't register. Like that game's just not going to register because of the way you set your lineup. You basically are not giving yourself a shot in that game regardless. And that's what I've seen that's what I've seen happen a lot is like people will set lineups where it's like there's 3 games and I forget, like it doesn't matter. It's just like you pick one of the games and it's like, all right, I'm going to play a 3-2 stack in this game. And it's like, okay, that lineup just is not going to work 99.9% of the time. And it's just not going to put up the high score of the day. So by you setting it that way, you're basically forfeiting that game. And if that game ends up being, because this was another thing I've seen discussed as well, and Maddie can verify it. A lot of people view that if they put up a big score in like one of the early games, they can take risks in the late game and do something weird, and that's okay. That's not how this tournament plays out the way that it is from the global perspective. Basically, you need to have the best score of the day, and you don't necessarily know what game it's going to be from. Obviously, you can have some ideas based on who's playing and whatnot. But if you put up let's say I put up a good score in the France game earlier, it really doesn't matter because that game probably isn't going to register for the day. And then if I take risks and let's say I stack Slovenia against England and England puts up a smash score on the day and England's the game, all of a sudden you just dumped off 150 points on the day and you eliminate yourself. So basically the way that it should be is like you just are going into every game setting the best lineup that you can set for that game. And you can take some game theory into it and be like, all right, I think that it's a coin flip game. Like I don't like all the games today for the realistically, I didn't think were coin flips. I thought in order of rank in terms of what would be the most likely games to register today, I thought it was France, then Denmark, then England, then the Netherlands game. But like, for example, the Netherlands game, like I didn't see any way Austria could ever register good scores because the way they play just doesn't really do that. So right. Like especially against the Netherlands, like it just wouldn't work. So in that game, I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to do a Netherlands stack because I just don't see any possibility where Austria sets a high score.
Yeah, like Austria scored 3 goals and nobody scored more than 69.
Yeah, like so, like I just don't really think there was a path to Austria being productive. Like similar, like Denmark, for example. Denmark has 2 studs. Those 2 guys typically, if they are not in a game where they are a big underdog, those 2 guys are going to probably slap pretty heavily. So you just force them into your lineup, and then you sort of just try to figure out shit around that because that's realistically all you can do. Because like, if you, like for example, like if you don't play Eriksson, all of a sudden Eriksson goes down and puts up 100, you don't have him in your lineup, like you're
dead,
boned.
Yeah.
England's tricky because like I think everyone kind of just sucks on England, but doesn't suck at the same time. There's one player I would not play on England in a lineup, and I bet you can guess who it would be. Of the 11 players in this England, well, there's 2 today, but like every other day, there's been 1 player I wouldn't play.
Kyle Walker?
Yeah, Kyle Walker. So 1 player I wouldn't play. It's not that he can't get there, but he's likelier to have a worse floor, worse ceiling than all these other dudes.
Yeah.
So I'm just like never going to play Kyle Walker in a lineup.
There's a great line, Maddie. Thank you. There's always a difference between risk and risk.
And that's what I was talking about earlier today in the group is there is a big difference between, I said, I'll give another example of a risk. Like yesterday, the Spain game, and it didn't work out if you did it, but like it was a reasonable risk. The Spain game yesterday, I thought literally every player was playable in Spain, but I think you had to go 5 Spain. Like there was no, and I did see people like playing Albania. It's just like, why? It's not work. But so there were 11 dudes in the starting line for Spain, and I thought you could make a case for all 11 of those guys. The one guy that I said, like, I'm not going to play him because he's just a worse player than everyone else is Joselu. But if Joselu scores a brace, which was definitely possible, like we've seen Joselu score braces before, then all of a sudden Joselu could be a big difference maker. But like that's the sort of risk you take is like all of a sudden you play like Joselu over Ferran Torres. And you hope Ferran Torres doesn't score and you hope Joselu does, and all of a sudden there's your differential. Or like I played Zubamendi yesterday because I knew he was going to be in the Rodrigo role, which is obviously the best role realistically. But like, so for example, like I could have played Danny Vivian, and if I played him, all of a sudden my score for the Spain game pops off by an extra 50 points. Those are the type of risks I think you can more so take than like splitting.
Can you explain why, even if Albania won, why they're a bad stack for that game?
I'll give the example. So like, I don't know if anyone paid attention to the Italy game. I'll use the Italy game as an example. Until Italy conceded, everybody on Italy's scores were absolute dog shit, except for like one dude. The reason is because they just sit back and have no possession whatsoever. And in that, so like I had a Croatia stack. I had a Croatia stack in that game. If that got fucked up heavily, because like I saw lineups in this game, like a lot of people were like running 3 Croatia dudes versus Donnarumma. Like it's just like it's realistically not going to work that frequently. Then all of a sudden, Modric misses a pen into Donnarumma, then scores the rebound, and boom, it's more of a relevant situation. So like it's not like some of these things can't come through and can't happen. It's that they're less likely to happen. But like, yeah, if you look at this, like Bastoni, like all these guys for Italy were horrendous until they conceded, and then they sort of started to salvage because then they pushed forward. They had possession, and Croatia just sat on their ass and did nothing. So like Barella, I think Barella was like on like 40 or something. He was terrible. Calafiori was like on like 35, 40. Bastoni, like all these guys were just not scoring well. So like when I looked at the game before I made the lineups, I was like, all right, I think Italy's the better team because they did, but there's no way that Italy scores well on the day because the way that they're going to play this game. It was basically like, how long does it take Croatia to score?
Yeah.
If it takes,
Italy didn't even need to win.
No, if it takes, because like Italy's not going to do shit until Italy scores. So I had, and similar flip side, complete flip side. Croatia was smashing until they scored. And then once they scored, all their guys started sucking because they didn't have the ball and they were fouling a shitload, which is what Italy was doing in the reverse of it. So there's different strategies of things. And then also another thing that I've noticed people talk about is people want to make up points, which, yeah, I agree. Like you want to make up points and stuff, but like if you do something stupid and cost yourself 200 and you're already down 200, you're just done. Like you're just done. You just want to make up like 20, 30 points a day. And then the biggest thing is like once we get to the knockouts, when there are 2 games a day and then 1 game a day after that, that's when those sort of strategies change a little bit, and you might necessarily not need a full stack. Because if there's 1 game on a day and both goalies concede, all right, maybe having that underdog goalie is a better situation because he puts up 75 because he had 48 because he just saw shots all game.
Yeah, I think one of the things that people kind of, I don't know if it's overthinking or underthinking, but like if you went in, I'll go back to Spain, Albania. Like if you thought that Albania pulled that one out, you're basically expecting Spain to play unlike they have played in decades of like letting Albania have like this game is more than just goals. And so all of the stats that go into the Sorare scoring matrix benefit one team more than the other.
Yeah.
And in the case of Albania, like if they were going to win, it was going to be some fluke, a counter off of or a set piece, but like they weren't going to have 70% possession against Spain and be able to just ping the ball around. And so the scores were never going to be that high.
Correct.
And so, I mean, you could make a lineup thinking that like Albania wins and maybe you take one play, but like the full Albania stack seemed like it was never going to be high enough.
Even anyone really from Albania is just not. The only person that could work is the goalie, right? I think the goalie can work because if Spain don't score, he's going to outscore the Spain goalie every time. And even if Spain scores, the goalie is typically the guy that I would be more open to playing against. For example, like I don't know what Skorupski put up, but like if it works from a cap hit, yeah. So like Skorupski had 70 today. Like if you need a cap hit and like all of a sudden Skorupski buys you, let's say 15 on a cap, and like that changes you from like Rabiot to Conte or something, that sometimes can make sense because that goalie is going to face a lot of action, but it's not necessarily going to be that way.
Right. At what point do you decide what tactic you're using?
When I'm setting my lineup.
But I guess the question is, do you have your 5 guys and then you take the tactic from that? Or how often do you adjust your lineup because of a tactic?
Sometimes. I will occasionally. Like, I don't know. I don't have an example off the top of my head. I I definitely I've done it where it's like, all right, do I take like this like winger or this center back, and it's all. I think it was England actually. It was like one of the previous England games, where it was like you could play like either Stones or Gahey or like Declan Rice or TA or something, and I'm just like, oh, who was it? It was I think it was I think it was that game. I think it was England, but it was basically England. It was like you had Gahey or like Declan Rice, and I said I'm like I would rather just play Gahey because he's going to get more passes, and they're pretty much the same player. They're not going to be very attacking because Declan doesn't do shit for England.
Yeah, and England doesn't do shit for England.
What?
England doesn't do shit for England.
True. But I said I'm like I'd rather get the possible 10-point bonus from Gahey on the backside
Right.
thing than play Declan. But yeah, tactic. I mean, going in typically you have an idea of what you're doing. Like Denmark today, I was pretty confident with what I was going to do from a tactic standpoint. And I also think there's merit sometimes in like sometimes you can't really like guarantee yourself a high tactic, and you just like, but like you can like be like, all right, I'm definitely gonna hit at least this first or second one with this. I'm gonna just take that, and then maybe I'll get lucky. Whereas like, oh, I can risk because like typically shots are super high variance. Like you typically never want to do shots. And park the bus. Like I think the only time you ever want to do park the bus is in like the Mexican league.
Yeah, hell yeah, let's go.
You're just not playing guys that you're not playing teams that suck typically in rivals that are going to be parking the bus. And like Italy, I guess would have made sense yesterday, but like I don't know if they would have hit it. But so like I don't know, like the Denmark game, I'm probably just going tiki taka because I'm going to have Højlund and Eriksson, the goalie. Like I'll get enough passes out of them to probably hit the middle at least, with maybe upside to hit the high. England, like I think England versus Slovenia probably tiki taka, but like again, like, I'm pretty confident with tiki taka. I'll hit the middle, but I mean, it definitely depends. If I'm doing like double center backs, for example, I would definitely tiki taka like with England. If I'm going like double center backs, I'm for sure tiki taka. If I'm
how many clearances do you think Italy had in that game yesterday?
Probably a decent amount, but maybe not. Croatia probably had a lot more because Croatia the last 30 minutes was a dumpster fire.
Yeah, so Italy finished with 13.
Yeah,
like as a team, and Croatia had 28.
Yeah, because Croatia the last like 30 minutes was an absolute dumpster fire.
Mm-hmm.
They're just blasting that shit. But I don't know. You just don't really do it too frequently, I would assume. But no, I think. Oh, here's another quick one. I don't need to go into this for too long, but I think that the way that they're probably going to do prizing is going to be so asinine. And I'm just waiting for it because like I don't really give a shit. I mean, I would go to the Zidane thing or whatever. I just like to win. Like you know that. I just like to win. Winning's fun. And I like strategy. The real reason I like Rivals is because I like the strategy behind it and like what to do, what not to do. But that's also why I'm pretty confident typically with the decisions I make because I put a lot of thought into it, and this has been my life for over a decade. Like I have more experience in it than anyone. I would hope I do well at it. But oh, we're first. Let's go. End it now. But so here's the thing. Someone asked, I have no idea the answer to this, but like I know what the clear answer should be to this. But so if you win, scroll up and show what you win. Well, I can't wait for 3 arena tickets first off. That would be cool. Like the Zidane experience, play a 5v5 match with Zidane. Who gets it? Like, does one person in the group get it, or do they invite the whole group?
I thought it was the whole group.
Is it? Is it?
I thought so.
I'm saying, like 10 signed jerseys. Why are you only giving 10 jerseys? Like, why are you giving 10 jerseys when there's 20 people in the group? Like, are they gonna just Rivals boxes and like you get a 50% chance at a jersey? But anyways, also the part that I was gonna say is gonna be ridiculous is like the Zidane experience. Like, let's say that we win this. Are they gonna be like, yeah, you get to come over and play with Zidane, just spend that $4,000 you have to fly over here, rent a hotel for a week and all this shit? Or are they gonna actually be like, hey, we're putting you guys up in a hotel or what? Because someone said they're like, what does they're like, who's gonna win this? And I'm like, I have no idea, but I'm ready for some drama.
I am, excuse me. I imagine that everyone in the group is invited, And you definitely do not have them pay for it. Like you have to pay for it.
Yeah. So like for me, hypothetically, for me,
I hope Finster wins all of it.
well, I mean, Finster might win all of it. I would laugh. I would laugh hysterically because like I don't really care about the Zidane experience per se. But like, yeah, like in some maybe they said Maddie just said that he gets to distribute. Maybe Maddie does get to distribute. He created the group. Maybe he gets to distribute it. I don't know. I'm like laughing because Muhammad just said all members are included in the experience according to the terms of the comp. That's good. That's good. I'm glad everyone would get the opportunity to go if they wanted to
spend thousands of dollars to
spend thousands of dollars. Because like for me to go to that, what do you think it would cost me? Like $3,000?
Are you the furthest away?
I would imagine. I don't know. I think it's highly likely I'm
with the way that you like to travel. Yeah, $3,000 sounds about right.
All right, pretend it was you. How much do you think you'd have to spend? 1,500, 2K?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, yeah, it's also going to be more expensive for me to travel than you due to where you live. But
when I assume it's like later in the year.
No idea. It's in the fall.
It'd be great if they did it like the week of the Olympics, where like literally the most expensive time to ever go to Paris.
But no, I don't know.
It's cheaper to fly Zidane to everything.
Again, why they give out jerseys for everything? Why are you giving to the winners 10 jerseys? Like, why is that what you're giving to the winners? Like, why? How are you not giving 20 jerseys? Like, that just seems weird.
And like, well, yeah, and like 30 match tickets for 20 people for second place. Like, I assumed the 40 meant just like 2 for everyone.
That's what I would guess.
But 30,
you get 1, you get 2, you get 3.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, how does it work? It's just weird. Like the distribution is just weird of it.
So I hate to like argue about prizes. Not argue. I hate to complain about them.
Yeah.
3. I think everyone who finishes first in this group should get it like unlimited arena tickets for life.
Sure.
Like,
I think it should have been like, I mean, for me, this is my thing too. And it wouldn't have covered me, but like a lot of people don't just have money to go to this type of stuff. Like, are you going to do this? And then it costs everyone like it's going to cost like everyone like $5K to go to this, or like $2K. Like, you should have done like
the conversation you have to have. Like, if I won this and I'd be like, hey, talking to my wife, hey, I won this trip. I won this opportunity to play 5-a-side. It only cost me $3,000. And she's like, I thought you won. I'm like, yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like the way they should have been is like the winners, like, we will give you each $500 for travel expenses and put you up in a hotel for 2 nights. Something. It just like, I want to win just so that I can see the shit show that ensues from it. Because like, I'm assuming there are people that would be like super duper excited to go. I'm not one of those for this because I know that I'm going to have to pay and figure it out. And it's just, I'm not going to spend $3,000 for this. Like, I just wouldn't do it. Jonathan said, would I trade him 2 tickets for sure? I don't know. I like tickets a lot too, Jonathan. I like tickets to games. I go to a lot of games.
Yeah, but you really want to win the non-experience and have to take somebody to a New England Revolution game. I mean,
I would rather go. Yeah, that's more attainable for me. I could go to a Revs game. I could drive to Boston and get a hotel for 2 nights. It would cost me like $500.
Yeah, just do that 4 times, and now you're flying to France to see. Well, it's a little more, I guess, for you.
I'm gonna stay on like Maxime's couch.
It was a bit of a, like, not a trick, but like, it's one thing to be like, yeah, I would love to do that.
Yeah.
And it's another thing to be like, I have to spend $3,000.
Yeah, Maddie, you're from Germany. How assuming the Zidane thing is in Paris, how much would it cost you to travel for, let's say, 2 nights for a Zidane thing, Maddie? Since I'm curious, like, what it would cost.
Train or flight. And then
I'm assuming it would, my guess is it would cost Maddie like $500. That's my guess.
I mean, accommodations, like the hotel or an Airbnb, like that's going to be more than $500 for 2 nights, right?
I'm guessing it would cost them like $200 to get there, and then like $150 a night for a hotel.
How
That's
much?
like $150.
Come on, no way.
I'm not saying
In
like
Paris?
not saying like an amazing hotel, but I'm saying like I feel like
Still,
you could say at a hostel there. Europe is big for hostels.
I'm too old for that. Fabian said I was in Paris last week. Train €100, €200 hotel a night.
Perfect. So yeah, so like six. So it's going to cost someone like €500. Thank you, Fabian. It's going to cost someone like €500 to go to this.
All right.
Yes, Maddie's going to be in a hostel. So no, I'm just like I hope that I just like it's like your marquee marketing thing, and it's like your big thing. I just like you should be putting a little bit into it from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like the tickets, they are all free that they get because they just get them from their league partners. The jerseys are all free from their league partners. Rivals tickets, those are. What else was in it?
Would you feel wronged if like the winners literally got arena tickets for life?
I wouldn't care.
Right. Nobody would care. And instead you're going to get 3, Sean.
I just think that giving me 3 is ridiculous. Just don't even put that in there. Like,
right.
Don't even put that in there. It looks more. It's like the same thing as the other stuff. Like, it looks more stupid that it's in there. Like 10 jerseys. Like that looks more stupid than it not being in there.
Like I think they could have put in 300, and everybody would have been like, "Okay, sure."
Yeah.
That sounds
like
great.
I think it would legit cost me minimum $2,000 to go. Would cost me minimum $2,000 to go.
Yeah.
Not saying I will or will not do it, because like a lot of that will depend on timing and stuff if that happened. But like it would cost me $2,000 to go. A lot of people do not just have $2,000 sitting around to just be like, you wouldn't just be like, I'm gonna, if you won that and it's like you had to spend $2,000, you would not go.
You know what the worst part is I would have to start convincing my entire family to come and be like, instead of me going for $2,000, let me spend $10,000 and we'll all go.
Yeah. But like, I think it would have been a good marketing experience. And it's really not that much. Like, I don't know. Like you put like $10,000 aside and you like sort out a lot of it. Like,
well, Maddie only needs 250. So.
Yeah, like good. They give us $500 each. Maddie, you got to give me an extra 250.
Yeah.
So everyone's got to donate to the American. But like, no, I don't know. But I've really enjoyed it. Like, I've really enjoyed the competition. I think it's really good. I think they can do this a lot. I think they could do this in like the Prem
for the whole season.
Yeah,
or like monthly.
Either.
Yeah,
like you could have it for the. I think you could do it for the Prem. The issue is like, I don't know. Fling Flong said, "Where are either of you in the Sorare Rivals League? I'm so far ahead, can't scroll." Well, I didn't play, so I definitely am not in there at all. Anyways, Laird sucks. So like
684th.
Oh yeah, okay? So here's another question: what was your take on the situation yesterday with the Germany game?
The like that it didn't happen.
Yeah, how they handled it.
I think it was perfect.
Okay, good.
What else did they do?
My hot take was I actually thought they handled that situation perfectly. I was actually pretty impressed how they handled it, because they knew it was fucked at the time. They waited and just hoped that it would come back and they would be able to fix it in time for it to work properly.
Yeah, which is good. Reasonable.
I think if they got it working with like 10 minutes left, they would have ran it. Once it wasn't working by the time that the game started, you have to make that decision right away, because you can't wait till the game's over and then be like, "Hey guys, we're getting rid of that game." You have to do it before the scores are happening and all of that stuff.
For sure.
And then you screwed people over to some extent. You had to give people something, and they did that too without too long of a delay. Like, I thought it was all really good. Yeah, but so the group that I'm in, a lot of people bought a Musiala forward card or a Works forward card, because obviously the advantage that gives you when Germany plays. And everybody's set. I have another thing for you, Laird, but I don't know. Maddie, am I allowed to give the other bit of info that I know Laird doesn't know that other people probably do, but Laird definitely won't? I'll give it anyways. I'll keep talking, and Maddie can tell me if I'm allowed to say it, because Maddie was the one that told the rest of our group about it. But they got rid of the game that was the most impactful game of the entire group stage because of that situation, which is funny. And also another funny part, my other favorite part of this, I actually was able to edit my lineups during that hour window. Granted, I tried repeatedly, but I got my lineups in and adjusted. So Maddie hasn't responded. So Maddie says he guessed so. Laird, did you know that you can set your lineup beforehand and basically circumvent the cap?
What do you mean before?
If you set your lineup, if you go set your lineup for the Germany game right now, you get whatever the cap score is now, not what the cap score will be on next game week.
Oh, I can go ahead.
Yeah. So basically,
I don't think that does that work though, because we don't know who they're playing though.
You could do it before, so after game 1 for Germany, you could set when basically when Cruz ripped 100 and Musiala ripped 90, you could set your lineup for the next game week with their cap hit before that got added into it.
Isn't that always the case with scores though? Doesn't it take?
So for example, my lineup in the Germany game yesterday, I could not have set that lineup the day of. I couldn't set that lineup. It was over the cap. I exceeded the cap. So the funny thing was our whole group has a lot of Musiala forwards. Everybody set their lineup before the day of because I'm giving away our advantage, Maddie. I'll take blame for that. But yeah, so if you set your lineup 3 days out and that lineup then becomes over the cap, it still counts. So my lineup for the Germany game was 3 points over the cap yesterday if that game played and counted.
I'm just not sure how far ahead you'll be able to do it now, given the group state.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I can go do it for games that are.
Well, I'm looking right here, and Switzerland, Italy is locked.
That's probably because that just happened.
No, those games were yesterday.
I can edit my lineup for Switzerland, Italy.
You can enter a lineup. You already entered. You already did one?
No, I'm saying I could do it right now. I have it up.
No, why am I locked? What the hell?
I can enter it. I'm in the screen where I'm entering it.
Well, that's not fair.
Yeah. So anyways, they just the way that the cap works, you can just set your lineups if guys' caps are going to go up. Obviously, if the lineups aren't what you're expecting, it kind of neuters the whole thing because you have to rearrange it anyways. But I mean, Germany's been easy because they're basically we're playing the same dudes, guys, every game.
Yeah. I think it's. Yeah, I mean, they've always struggled with quick L15 changes anyway.
But yeah, so you can. I assume the other games will be up later, but so I can set my Italy.
Right now. I can set it here. You're right.
Yeah, so obviously it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna do it right now, but you can.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But so all right, games are starting, Laird. So
cool. All right. Thank you to everybody for coming. If you could please subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny. Thank you to everybody for all the tips. Maddie, well done on making this group. Sean, Maddie, Finster, good luck to everybody with the rest of the competition. And we'll see you later this week.